a Grandmaster is better at chess than 99.9999998% of all humans. So why would they ever cheat? How would they even be caught? Today we're going to look at 3 wild stories where exactly that happened. And spoiler alert, there's a surprising amount of suspicious bathroom breaks. Yes, that's a thing in the chess world. And an ingenious code that a 3-man team used to cheat that really belongs in some spy novel. Welcome to Agilo. Our first story takes us to Latvia, where the name of Ukrainian-born Grandmaster Igors Rausis will live on in infamy. Born in April 1961, he started playing chess in school when he was young, around 14. Now, he had a lot of talent. He was really good at chess, but he was also trained as a medical doctor and neurologist. And in fact, in his youth, he worked in emergency services. At some point, he switched to playing chess seriously and coaching young talents. Now, as a player, he had a lot of success. He earned a title of Grandmaster in 1992, 31 years. He was Latvian national champion in 1995, and he represented Latvia at the Olympiad, or the Olympics of chess, 3 different times. In the 2000s, as he got older, he entered his 40s. He played a lot less, and he coached a lot more. So he coached many national teams like Algeria, Bangladesh at the Olympiad. So up to this point, his career seems pretty normal. Sounds like that of many other grandmasters. But from the year 2013, something very strange started to happen.
Is that weird?
Now, to appreciate what happened, we need to understand this graph. This is a chess player's rating graph. Rating is a number that basically measures how well a player plays. So whenever you win a game, you increase your rating. Whenever you lose a game, you drop rating. Now, for most professional chess players, this is what their rating chart looks like. They usually start early, and so the rating will start increasing as they learn and they get better at the game. And it increases until they reach their peak. Usually is around the mid-20s, and then the rating starts to plateau. So you might have ups and downs. The average will be on a relatively steady level, and they usually maintain their peak from around the mid-20s to around the early to mid-40s, where age inevitably catches up to them, and then it starts to go down and down until they retire. And up until 2013, Igor's chart looks very similar to this. It rises, then it gets to a relatively steady state, right? But then from 2013, at 51 years of age, his rating starts to increase. And not just a little, not just a temporary rise and fall, right? It increases consistently and significantly. Over the next 6 years, he gains about 150 rating points. He goes from world number 627 in May 2013 to world number 40 in July 2019. Now, this was unheard of, right? You don't play chess your whole life and then only in your 50s, you start to see massive improvement. And so it naturally raised a lot of questions. Some people thought he was just an outlier. Some were convinced he was cheating but didn't know how. The strange results had come to the attention of the governing body of chess, FIDE. And although they didn't have any evidence, they were monitoring him closely. And so this caused a bit of commotion in the chess world, right? He was about to enter the very elite at almost 60 years of age. This had never happened. And it was clear that something strange was going on. Now, was it really just an outlier? Was he cheating? Was it rating manipulation? No one could be sure. But there was a lot of pressure on FIDE to sort it out, figure out what was going on. And it all came to a head in July 2019. Igors was playing a tournament in Strasbourg, France. Now, the tournament organizers noticed that he was using the bathroom quite a bit. They thought it was suspiciously high. The number of times he was going to the toilet. And so they contacted FIDE. Now, FIDE was already on the lookout monitoring this guy, so they put a plan in place to try and catch him in the act if something suspicious was going on. Now, the details of exactly what they did weren't revealed, but we can infer that he was basically followed to the washroom. Now, he entered one of the stalls, but it seems whoever followed him there had reason to believe that some wrongdoing was going on, and so he reached his phone over the door and took a picture, which is slightly unethical, but it's unclear how much choice they had. Either way, the picture that they got was not of Igors using the washroom facilities in any capacity, but fully clothed, sitting on the toilet with his phone in hand, likely analyzing his game with a computer chess engine. He was cheating. The story blew up, likely because of the embarrassing picture that went along with it. Media outlets all around the world picked it up, and this picture went absolutely everywhere. Igors was confronted, he admitted to cheating in this tournament and in at least 2 previous tournaments. He announced his retirement, said he wouldn't play chess again. When asked in a later interview why he did it, this is what he said: "I was completely crazy. I was out of my mind. I take full responsibility for myself. I believe I did the most harmful thing you can do with chess." In December that year, he was banned by FIDE from playing in any official chess tournament for 6 years, and his Grandmaster title was revoked as punishment. Now, this is where the story should have ended, but there was a bit more. About a year later, the Latvian Grandmaster was playing a small tournament, and he saw someone in a face mask. This is 2020, but he thought the person looked quite a bit like Igors. So he quickly went to check the list of players who had registered to participate in the tournament, and there was no Igors Rausis on the list. So he went to the organizer and he found out that Igors was actually the person playing this tournament under a new name, Isa Kasimi. Now, he had actually legally changed his name because of the media scandal that had happened the previous year and the embarrassing picture that basically went everywhere. He changed his name to Isa Kasimi, and he was the person playing this tournament. It was not an official tournament, and so it wasn't part of the ban. So technically, he was allowed to play. But some of the other players were very unhappy with his presence there. They complained to the tournament organizers, and Igors, or now Isa Kasimi, was forced to withdraw.
All right. I'm out of here.
That seems to be the last time he made a public appearance. He showed up in a random YouTube video, but then the story gets a bit sad. You see, he had been diagnosed with a form of cancer all the way back in 2003. He had had chemotherapy, etc. all done, and unfortunately, in April 2024, he passed away. Although he's also remembered for a bad thing, he was described by many grandmasters as a kind and friendly person. He was an excellent coach. Some of his students went on to become top 10 players. He was mourned and is remembered by a loving family. It was a sobering reminder that life is bigger than chess. Our next story takes us to Georgia. The protagonist is Grandmaster Gaioz Nigalidze. I'm sorry, I should have said this earlier. There are a lot of names in this video. I'm doing my best, but I know I'm probably going to butcher a lot of them. Let me apologize in advance. He was born in April 1989. He was a talented chess player. He won the Georgian National Championships in 2013 and 2014. He represented Georgia in the Olympiad in 2014 and a Grandmaster title also in 2014. Unfortunately, all these achievements are now looked back on with a bit of suspicion because of what was about to happen. We're going to put ourselves in the shoes of one of Nigalidze's opponents, Armenian Grandmaster Tigran the Trojan, a player who would later go on to be the main character in his own cheating scandal, which we actually have done a video about on the channel. It's going to be linked somewhere. Open it in a new tab, finish watching this video, and then go check it out. He played against Nigalidze in December 2014 in a tournament in Abu Dhabi, tournament that Nigalidze eventually won. But the Trojan thought Nigalidze's play was suspiciously strong, and he seemed to use the bathroom quite a lot of times during the games. I did warn you. But he had no evidence, and so he couldn't make any accusations publicly. Now, the following year, in April 2015, he faces Nigalidze once again in the Dubai Open. They play in the 6th round, and once again, he notices the same strange behavior. He said as soon as Nigalidze played, he rushed off to the bathroom. So Petrosian tried to respond immediately so that he wouldn't have time to leave the board, go to the bathroom. And on those moves, he seems to make mistakes. But whenever he goes to the bathroom and returns, he plays pretty much perfectly. Now, he noticed more strange behavior. The bathroom had 3 stalls, and although they were mostly empty, Petrosian noticed that Nigalidze always entered the exact same stall. By the way, how did he know this? Was this guy just following his opponent to the bathroom every single time? So the next time Nigalidze went to the bathroom, Petrosian reported the suspicions to an arbiter, and they were waiting for him outside the bathroom store. As soon as he stepped out, he was searched from head to toe, and they found nothing. There was nothing. He was clean, and so they resumed the game. He made his next move, and he rushed off once again to the same bathroom stall. This time, when he left the stall, the arbiter then entered the stall and searched it. And hidden behind a waste bin covered with toilet paper, they found a device. The report, they said it was a phone, but it looks more like an iPod with headphones. They confronted Nigalidze, and he said he had no idea what that device was. He didn't know it was there. It wasn't his. But he managed to open it up. I'm not sure how, because was there not a lock on it or something, but Anyway, they got access to it, and they found out I was logged into a social media site under the account of Gaioz Nigalidze. And there was a chess engine that was running on the phone and was analyzing the position from the game that Nigalidze was playing right there. I mean, that's some incriminating evidence, yeah? So he was disqualified from the tournament, and later FIDE banned him from playing any official chess games for 3 years. He also had his Grandmaster title revoked. Now, the next story is a doozy. It features the most complicated cheating mechanism I've ever seen, and it originates in France. Welcome to September 2010. There is an international chess Olympiad going on in Russia. Now, this story has 3 protagonists. First, we have Grandmaster Sebastien Feller. He's a 19-year-old, young, talented French Grandmaster. He was a then French Blitz champion. He had won the prestigious tournament, the Paris Championships, earlier that year. Now, he was representing France in the Chess Olympiad in Russia. Next, we have Grandmaster Arnaud Houchard. He's a 39-year-old, experienced Grandmaster and is working as captain of the French team at the Olympiad in Russia. And third, we have Cyril Marzolo, an international master. He's not at the Olympiad, he's back home in France, but he's a good friend of Feller, and he's currently working for the vice president of the French Chess Federation, Joanna Pomian. It's September 27th, and Cyril is in the vice president Joanna's home for some work. At this time, the Olympiad is ongoing, and in fact, the French team is playing. Cyril and Joanna are in the same room, and for some reason, Cyril has to leave the room for a few minutes. Now, during that time, he receives an SMS on his phone that he left in the room on a table. And Joanna can see the screen on the phone and can see that the SMS is coming from Grandmaster Arnaud Houchard. Remember, the French team is playing an Olympiad right there and then, and so as captain of the team, he's supposed to be in the playing hall with the players. But the SMS that he sends to Cyril says, "Hurry up, send moves on the cell," which is strange, right? Like, what moves is he talking about? His team should be playing, he should be focusing on them. What moves could he possibly want from Cyril? Last chance would have it, a number that Cyril uses actually kind of belongs to Joanna. It's in her name and she pays for it. She gave it to him for some work reasons. And so she's able to access the text history between Cyril using her number and Arnaud. And when she does, the messages that she sees convince her that there is some cheating taking place. So she informs other officials of the French Chess Federation. That information eventually reaches the president of the Chess Federation, who is at the Olympiad in Russia at the venue. At this point, there are just about 2 rounds left for the Olympiad to finish. And so in the penultimate round, the president decides to observe Arnaud. He notices that during the game, Arnaud is moving to and from the playing area, typing and speaking on his phone. But he never sees him speak to Feller or signal any moves to him. Now, without catching them in the act, he remains quiet, but he requests for Feller to be benched for the last round, and they continue investigating. Now, the Olympiad finishes smoothly. Feller wins a gold medal as the best performing player on his board, and the team returns home to France. Now, the French Federation continues investigating the issue, and on 11th October, they invite Houchard and Feller to come for a meeting to question them. According to the French Federation officials who were at this meeting, they said that Houchard and Feller admitted to cheating at the Olympiad, and also at 2 tournaments prior to that, and that they were working with Cyril Marzolo. So Cyril would send an SMS to Houchard and Feller's phones in code, and Houchard would transmit those moves to Feller. They described how the code was transmitted, which we are going to look at in a moment. But they also said that the whole thing was Cyril's idea, that he pressured them to doing it. That will be important later. Soon after this meeting, they seemingly changed their mind about their defense. They all lawyered up and denied that any cheating had taken place. They also denied ever having this meeting with the Federation officials where they admitted to it, and it seemed nothing was recorded or signed, and so it became their word against the officials. They likely realized that there wasn't much physical evidence. They weren't actually caught in the act, and one problem was that the SMS history was not admissible in court in French law, and so without a confession, there really wasn't any proof that anything had happened. Fast forward to January 2011, and Arnaud Houchard meets with 3 other players that were part of the French team at the Olympiad: Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, Ruben Edouard, and Laurent Fressinet. And during this meeting, they asked him about the cheating because there's rumors flying everywhere. And he admits that there was cheating at the Olympiad, but he says that Cyril sent the moves to Feller, and although he knew about it and covered it up, he wasn't personally involved. The players let the Federation know about their findings. At this point, the French Federation feel that they have enough, so they make a public decision to suspend all 3 players in March of 2011. He also revealed what they found out about the codes that was used in that meeting in October, which we are going to take a look at now. I hope you are paying attention.
Well, let's get into it.
Now, you should already know that a chessboard is notated using a grid of letters and numbers to identify each square. So that square is E2, that square is G4, etc. You already know that Cyril was at home following Feller's games and analyzing them with the chess engine. And so he would see the best move according to the computer, and he would send a text message to Arnaud Houchard containing phone numbers. Now, French phone numbers are 10 digits, and they are usually written in pairs of 2 numbers. And of course, the point was so that if anyone should see any of the messages, it just looks like he sent a phone number. Now, the first 2 numbers of the code were always 06, which in the French phone number system just refers to a mobile phone. The next 2 numbers refer to the move number. The next 2 numbers were the square a piece was moving from, and they got that by converting the letter in the chessboard notation to its number equivalent. So the square C2 would become 32, the square D5 would become 45, like that. The next 2 numbers were the destination square using the same method, and the last 2 numbers were random numbers. They were irrelevant, they were just added to finish up the 10 digits of a phone number. That's interesting. Let's look at an example. So if on move 1, Cyril wants to send a move on E2 to E4, this is the SMS he would send. The first 2 numbers would be 06, that was always the first 2. The next 2 is the move number, so 01. The next 2 are the square the piece is moving from. So E2 would become 5 and 2, 52. The next 2 are the destination squares. So E4 would become 5, 4, 54. And the last 2 numbers would be random. So let's say 4, 6. And they will send this 10 digits, seemingly French phone number, to Arnaud Houchard. Now for the second part, how would Arnaud Houchard transmit this move to Feller? Because in the middle of a chess game, you can't just go and talk to someone. Arnaud and Feller had a pre-arranged system using the seating positions of players in the playing hall. For example, the matches at the Olympiad had 4 players of each team sitting across each other on a table, and the captain usually would sit at the end of the table, but he's free to stand and walk around. So they would agree beforehand that this player represents A and 1, that player represents B and 2, that player represents C and 3, etc. And so all Arnaud would have to do would be to move around and stop for a while behind specific players in view of Feller so that he would know which moves were being communicated. So for example, for the move E2 to E4, Arnaud would have to walk around and stop here and there for E2, and then he would move here and there for E4. Now, seating positions differ from round to round and tournament to tournament, right? So this part of the code, they had to change basically every tournament. So this is the system that the federation said Arnaud and Feller admitted to during that meeting in October. Remember, the players denied that any of this happened. They said that Cyril had sent almost 200 text messages to Arnaud during the Olympiad alone. And these messages were almost always sent during games that Feller was playing in. So the French Federation suspended all 3 of them, but the players appealed in court. And the players actually won. They won on a technicality. Basically, the wrong body of the federation brought the action against the players. It was the executive board that handled all this, whereas the federation actually had an ethics commission. And so the judge said it's the ethics commission who had the responsibility to handle this case, not the executive board. So the judge overturned the suspension, which just added to the confusion. Because the federation is saying these guys cheated, they've admitted to it, this is how they did it. We have text message evidence of this. The players are saying none of this is true. These guys just have a vendetta against us. Now, the text messages themselves are inadmissible in court and they can't be made public. And the players just won an appeal in court. So no one knows what's really going on. Meanwhile, Feller is back playing chess. That year, he actually played in the French championship. Whilst all of this ruckus is going on, it was a bit crazy. But finally, some clarity came the following year when FIDE, who was also investigating themselves, managed to get a signed confession from Cyril Marzullo himself. He admitted basically to all the details that we've mentioned so far, but he said that he was approached by Arnaud and Feller to do this. Remember, the other 2 had said I was Cyril's idea, and unsurprisingly, Cyril said it was their idea. He said Arnaud was the main instigator, that he had convinced Feller and they had both come to him. And Cyril was getting paid to do this, so he did it for the money. He had some financial troubles at the time and he needed the money. So having this evidence, FIDE could ban all 3 of them. Arnaud Houchard was banned for 3 years. Sebastien Feller was banned for 2 years and 9 months. Remember, he was a minor at the time when these events occurred, so that reduced his sentence a little. And Cyril Marzullo for 1 year and 6 months. His was also reduced, likely because he confessed. Those were some wild stories, and they've affected how chess tournaments are organized to this day. So now no electronic devices are allowed in the playing hall. Previously, apart from the players, others could bring their phones in like Arnaud did. Spectators could do that. But now nobody is allowed to have a phone in the playing hall. In high-level events, it's now standard for there to be a broadcasting delay, meaning that there's a 15 or 30-minute delay after the moves are played before they actually broadcast on the internet. So coverage of top events is never really live. There's always this little delay. So that if someone is at home analyzing for you, you'd have to wait about half an hour before they can see your current position. And you only have about 2 hours per game, right? You can't do that consistently. The truth is that we still have a long way to go to ensure fair play in chess tournaments. Cheating is still a big problem, and the suspicion of cheating is an equally big problem nowadays. We covered the most high-profile cheating scandal chess has ever seen in this video. Check it out. And if you've made it this far, please subscribe. Thanks for watching.